This segment brought to you by the vaping technology industry. President Trump made a promise to save the vaping industry. Stakes couldn't be higher for small businesses across the country and in Pennsylvania. And the millions of vapers who supported President Trump. Now, vaping's not the best, but cigarettes are worse. So it's like, you know what? A lot of us had to get off cigarettes through vapes. Got to go point A to point B, and it's all good. I was packing half a day, American Spirit Blue. And now I don't smoke at all. I do vape occasionally, and I did need vaping to get off, but I'm off. So I'm at the store the other day. I'm placing my football bet at the Caesars kiosk in the liquor store. This is what you do in Washington, D.C. It's the most fun thing. I can bet on my phone, but it's not as much fun when you go to the kiosk at the corner liquor store and make your bet at the Caesars kiosk. Because sometimes you got to wait there 20 minutes. I've complained about this. Like some guy will put $5 in and bet like a 92-team soccer parlay. It's like goes on. It's like, dude, like just make your bet and go. They're scrolling through the thing, whatever, you know. Some people don't have anything else to do, I guess. But so I go in there, right, and waiting online. I have to buy some for Ann, get some water actually, and I think she wanted wine or something. So I'm waiting there, and that guy ahead of me orders a pack of cigarettes, right? And this is right in D.C. And he didn't get my brand, American Spirit Blue, although I saw it sitting there and I was looking at it, but I didn't get it because I'm a good boy. I gotta hang in there. So he gets, I don't know, Marlboro or something, like average brand, right? And he's like right in front of him, right? It was a Marlboro. I think they were filtered. I don't remember. $15. The pack of cigarettes was $15. I'm like, is that pot or what is that, pot or just a cigarette? It was a 15. So I said to the guy at the counter, I'm like, are cigarettes $15 here? Oh yeah, because the DC tax is like 120%. So imagine buying a pack of cigarettes, it's $15. How many's in a pack? 20? So I'm thinking that's 75 cents a cigarette. Man, you better smoke that thing down to the filter. Like how many puffs in a cigarette? 20? So it's like 10 cents a puff. I don't know. I was trying to do the math in my head. So imagine how much is a carton of cigarettes in DC? 20 times, it was like $300. Like who can afford this? Unbelievable. Maybe but it was 50. I said to the guy, it was at $15. But that's why, look, vaping is so much better and they're much less harmful. And it's not good to close these businesses. And so tell President Trump, and for yourself, support the vaping industry. There's a lot of business owners, a lot of small entrepreneurs, and people like to vape. And of course, they're under fire by the tobacco cancer stick bunch in Richmond that, you know, come up to Congress with their, you know, $5,000 Armani suits and $20,000 Rolex watches and roam around the halls trying to get Congress to stop anything vaping so they can kill more people. Sorry, that's what it is. That's why I support vaping 100%. And there's a lot of politics surrounding the small businesses and the vaping industry. Support vaping. For more information, go to the Vaping Technology Association. This message paid for by the Vapor Technology Association. Great friends of mine. Okay, let's get back here. We got Doug Mastriano on. Doug, and let's get back to you, Doug. Cigarettes, $15 a pack in D.C. Go figure. Who can afford that? I have no idea. Like, I don't make enough money for that. Good thing I quit.
You know.
My God, 15. I couldn't believe it. The guy said taxes here it was 120%. So if the cigarettes are $7, I get $6. I guess they'd be 15, right? 120% tax in DC.
Whoa.
Who could smoke, right? Damn.
That's insane. My grandpa used to do Camel no filters, like 5 packs a day. He died of emphysema. Don't do it. But when we travel to Florida on the way back, we'd stop in Virginia and buy him a couple boxes of cigarettes because there's no taxes back then on it. But man, that's a lot of money.
I know, and I remember I smoked American Spirit Blue, and I mean, I was in Virginia, I was in Georgia and Virginia, and I remember buying a cart. It was like, like $25 maybe. I mean, it was maybe 30, but a pack of cigarettes would be like $3 or something. I'm just trying to remember. It certainly wasn't 15. It wasn't that much, because I would have stopped. It's unbelievable what has happened with that. All right, I want to get back to lots of different things here. Get back to Tehran. I thought this was very interesting that you're making the prediction that President Trump is going to act here, and he's going to act quickly. Give me a time frame.
I mean, it depends on what's going on the ground here. And as an intel officer, I'd give a hard assessment. I would say by the end of the week, if things keep on going, if they keep escalating, if the protesters are being gunned down, it's going to happen. Now, why didn't it happen last week? We don't know if he's on the phone with somebody in Tehran. We don't have privy to that information. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And so just be patient. But you and I both know if he says it, he's going to do it. So, Ayatollah Khomeini, you better pack your bags and begin your move to Moscow, because it's coming. It's coming soon.
I want to get to the Minnesota situation and insurrection. 30-year veteran Doug Mastriano with us, Army Intel, been all over the world. Walk us through what's going on in Minnesota and what you think President Trump should do, and should he instill the Insurrection Act?
And we're watching a real insurrection. This surpasses all the propaganda from January 6th that the left, clung on to. And we're seeing organized movement and violence against our law enforcement, especially ICE. But the protesters, they don't care. They're going after law enforcement, even their local cops. We're seeing a governor and Mayor Fry, Governor Walz and Mayor Fry, stirring the pot, not leading, not calming down, but stirring the pot and encouraging people in so many ways, directly and indirectly here, to oppose the federal agencies. What we have here is federal law enforcement going in and going after child molesters, murderers, criminals, all sorts of bad people here. And the left loves to protect them for some reason. I don't know why anyone's voting Democrat anymore, because they're protecting criminals. And so it's so lawless, it's so dangerous. Either we pull our federal agents out, or we have the Insurrection Act, and then you mobilize the 82nd Airborne Division, and you send in professional soldiers. There is a precedence for this here. Eisenhower had to do this when he was trying to integrate schools down south. Kennedy did this also in Alabama to integrate schools, when Democrat governors didn't want to allow African-American students into predominantly white schools at the time. And so there's a precedence. He has the power. No court challenge will stand up, and he'll send out the professional soldiers down there to bring law and order. And that's because of the lack of leadership here and gumption by these Democrats, the mayor and the governor. They're worthless. They're feckless. I think they hate our country.
Senator Mastriano, walk us through what this would look like exactly. President Trump apparently mobilizing 1,500 Army personnel ready to go there. These are U.S. Armed Forces, not National Guard, ready to go. So they go in. What would it look like?
I think much of what you saw in Washington, D.C. here, restoring order. There'll be checkpoints in Minnesota here. They'll protect federal buildings. They'll come in with assets and
checkpoints.
If things are bad, they're going to put up checkpoints. They're going to around the Capitol, especially where the insurrectionists broke into the Capitol and were violent. And they'll have weapons. They'll have armored vehicles. It's going to be very difficult. And I love what's going on here. In one course, as far as Donald Trump, he's a deep thinker. He's a strategic thinker. Last year, he talked about Soros and other international groups, funding organizations that to destabilize America as far as law and order goes. So I think we're going to see a harder push as far as those groups that are funding these organizations, these insurrectionists here, these anarchists that are killing people. And I think it's going to come down quick. And that brings up, of course, the question of Pam Bondi. I know you talked about that here, but we the people want action. We're well past a year now. We're just going on to a year. And where are the arrests, that we were promised? Where are the investigations? Where are the trials as far as all the shenanigans we saw going on during the Biden administration? It's time for action.
I think you and I agree on one thing. We agree on Iran. The president said he's going to do something. Iran crossed the line, his Rubicon, if you will. Therefore, he's got to act, right? And I think you kind of laid out what is a likely scenario. I don't think there's any way back here in Minnesota. I mean, he says he's going to do the Insurrection Act. He's not doing it. He backed off it. Now he's mobilized troops. It looks like you don't know what you're doing. That's just the way it appears, the optics of it. It's not good. You've got now these protesters led by Don Lemon yesterday going into churches, disrupting service. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yep. And you've got basically what is going to be a fugitive governor and a fugitive mayor. It's basically what you're going to have there. So I don't think he's got a choice, Doug. I think he's got to put them in and stop this in its tracks. Otherwise, we're going to be dealing with another George Floyd situation, and that's a lose-lose for President Trump.
I agree.
And for the American people.
You're absolutely right. And thank God it's wintertime, because the crowds would be 10 times larger, because, lefties tend to be fair weather in their cause. I'm surprised they're getting the crowds that they have out there, but I think they're paid. I think they're well organized, and we need to see that network go down. It's a big deal sending in active duty forces, because we have the posse comitatus that prohibits active duty military from being put on the ground in these domestic operations. But the Insurrection Act is the one clause in the Constitution that allows it, and it has gotten to the point on the ground, violence-wise, that it will happen. I don't, if it doesn't happen, it's because Waltz or Fry, they blink, they back off. And if that happens, maybe not. But if the situation continues in Minnesota as it is, we're going to see the 82nd Airborne probably on the ground, and they're going to restore order. That's a great division, a great force. They're going to bring a lot of gumption, a lot of gravitas to the ground here, John.
I think on both of these he has to act. We're in total agreement here. I mean, our coalition is fracturing, and it's really hanging by a thread. The whole thing's hanging by a thread, Doug, and action is what quells it. Action. And Pam Bondi, I love Pam to death. She's a friend of mine. I've been supporting her the whole time, but you've gone through now a year, and you've put no points on the board, Doug. No points on the board. Yeah. A couple of good cases in the Supreme Court. Good job there. But basically, you're going in the second half, you're getting shut out. It was kind of like that Texas game yesterday. Quarterback Stroud, between the Pittsburgh game and that game, he threw 7 interceptions in a game and a half in the playoffs. I mean, they should have put in David Mills. It's just like you're trying to win this game, and that guy's not doing it. They got to make a change. Yeah. I kind of think that's where we are. Let's get to your buddy Spamberger. Say that tongue in cheek, obviously. Here's Abby Spamberger yesterday saying that she's repealing. The first signature she has is repealing Glenn Youngkin's order mandating Virginia law enforcement cooperation with ICE. That's gone. Virginia, now a sanctuary state, with a stroke of a pen by Abigail Spamberger. Cut 12. Take a listen.
And this executive order rescinds executive order number 47. State and local law enforcement should not be required to divert their limited resources to enforce federal civil immigration laws. It is a responsibility of federal law enforcement. Virginia state and local law enforcement officers must be able to focus on their core responsibilities, investigating crime, and community policing.
Well, there you have it, Doug. Virginia now a sanctuary state with a stroke of the pen. Come one, come all. Good thing I live now in the safest city in America, Washington, D.C. Best thing I ever did was get out of that hellhole, which is going to become now that Youngkin is gone. Interesting, too, Glenn Youngkin putting a bunch of videos out about his legacy. Okay, your legacy governor is you vetoed 500 bills, yay, and you left the Republican Party of Virginia in a complete and utter shambles. Not your fault necessarily, but you were in charge, and again, Doug, you follow sports like me, right? I used to say when I coached basketball, only thing that matters when that horn blows, is that scoreboard.
That's right.
As Big Tuna says, you're as good as your record says you are.
Right.
What's your take on this whole thing?
Yeah, well, first off, when you're governor of the state, you are the head of the Republican Party in the
Thank
state.
you.
And he owns it. And if you don't have the governor, and then the party chair is responsible for results. So if you're like losing strong Republican seats like in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, that's a problem. So you have to own it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, John. I mean, why do people vote for that? So you want murderers on the street. You want child molesters to be able to walk when federal agents are coming in to do their job. You're not going to have your law enforcement cooperate. That's why Senator Cress Gephardt and myself introduced a bill in November that would codify that local police and state police have to cooperate with federal agents. Will Shapiro sign it? I don't know. Probably not, but you never know. He's got ambitions. But that we even have to do this, John. We have federal agents coming, helping our communities by taking bad actors off the streets. And we have governors saying, no, we're not going to cooperate. Are you kidding me? That's the Democrat Party. They're too radical and too dangerous and too extreme for America.
It's sick.
It is.
I mean, it's the first thing she does. It was like we ran a clip earlier with an ICE agent that they were honking at him and disrupting his flow. And he said, do you realize that I'm going to arrest, I have a warrant for a child molester? I mean, do you realize why this is how stupid these people are. All right, let's get to cut 11 here, Mike. Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, soon to be a fugitive. Yeah. You can't make this stuff up. On the Department of Justice's investigation, 11, roll it.
We have not received a subpoena. And at the same time, if the rumors are true, this is deeply concerning because this is way more important than just me. This is a very serious matter. And this whole investigation would ultimately be the product of one of the most basic foundational responsibilities that I have as mayor, which is to speak on behalf of my constituents. There are other countries where you get put away for the things that you say. There are other countries where you get investigated for saying something that runs counter to what the federal government states. But in this country, it's not that way. Here we have a freedom of speech, and we do not negotiate those rights away.
Doug, reaction.
What a complete idiot and clown. And look, so 2020 happens, I hold a hearing, I become public enemy number one for a period for the Democrats, and then Pelosi comes in with Biden, and there's subpoenas coming for me and several hundred Republican senators and congressmen, state senators, congressmen, U.S. senators, House reps, hundreds in Pennsylvania alone. They take Congressman Scott Perry's phone from him, and it's okay to go after Republicans with the J6, the Inquisition, I call it, under Pelosi. And by the way, I'm one of only two to not testify and walking out and not go to jail. And I sued her and I won. I beat Pelosi and her committee, her Inquisition. And then after that, if that wasn't enough, a few months later, Jack Smith comes with his own arraignment of hundreds of subpoenas for people like me and others. And for this clown to act like a victim, he is breaking the law. He is standing in the way of law enforcement. He's doing something outright wrong. He should have a subpoena already. I don't know what the delay is here. That's not that hard. Get his phone, get his emails, find out if he's cooperating with these insurrectionists here, and he needs to be held accountable. We were held accountable, and that's why, John, we all admire Pam Bondi. Remember her standing up in Florida in the election back in 2000 rather, again with Al Gore. That's great. She's a hero. But where's the action? When it's Republicans, the Democrats are swift, decisive. They come after us with oppressive. I lost sleep on this crap. It's very oppressive. Your country's coming after you after serving it, and on our side here, it's like dithering, silence. We don't see any action. We hear lots of big talk, then we don't see anything. So I don't know what the delay is. Subpoena his records, find out if he's complicit in breaking the law or facilitating those breaking the law, and he needs to go to jail if he is. And if he's innocent, then he can go and walk. He should have his day in court.
Somebody has to be accountable for up to $20 billion in fraud.
Thank you.
Somebody.
If that
have
was
to be
you
accountable.
or me, John, we'd be in jail so quick our head would be spinning. They'd sweep the Democrats would sweep in, but because it's Democrats and it's illegals and others, this is the frustrating part on our side here. All the right things are said in Washington D.C. By the cabinet, but then we don't see any action here. Are you kidding me? $20 billion of American money,
Yeah.
a lot of it being funneled back to Somalia. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? And where's the accountability? I get it. The justice system is slow. It grinds slowly. But really, are you a year on and we're seeing nothing?
Yeah. There's got to be changes. I mean, it's like I said earlier, Doug. I mean, I love Pam. I really do. She's a great lady, and I know her personally. I know her husband. She's a really good stepmom. She's just a good and a good friend of mine. She's been very good to me for a very long time, without fail. If I text her now and ask her for something, she'd try to help. But sometimes not the right job, not the right time, and that's kind of where I think she is. This is not the right job for her at this particular time. Maybe at a different time it would have been, but not at this time. Not for her set of skills, which are very, very effective. Just not the right time. It's like somebody said earlier, or maybe I did. We need a wartime conciliary now, and we got Tom Hagen, nice guy, right? Good lawyer, but not the right person for this particular time, and she's put no points on the board. It's just time for change. Nothing negative about her. I just don't think she's in the right job at the right time in history. Does that make sense, Doug?
It does, and I know the frustration on our side here. We saw grandmas that walked into Capitol building, tossed in jail, tossed into the gulag in D.C. We see two tiers of justice. If you're a conservative and you look at somebody cross-eyed, you're the enemy. You'll get hauled before a judge. You get subpoenaed. On our side here, we have outright evidence of fraud and corruption and theft of money.
We do nothing.
And this does not hurt. Doesn't help our side at all here.
No,
we want
no.
action. We're done with talk.
Action, action, action. Doug, we got a year. We got to win these midterms, and we're not going to win them if we don't get a massive vote out. And right now, we're not going to have that. People are frustrated. I mean, I get calls every day. Our base is just, they're not fired up. And we saw it in Virginia. We saw it all over the country. There's another state special in Georgia in a Republican district that is like Trump plus 10 or 12 or something. That thing's tied right now. I mean, people are just not coming out to vote. They're pissed off. They don't think it matters, and nothing's getting done the way they wanted to get done. Yes, the economy is booming. Yes, everything that Trump has done is yes. Yes, to foreign policy. But what they look at is who is getting held accountable for what they've perpetrated on this country. And the answer, nobody. And that's the frustration, Doug. And it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might not agree with it. I might not think that's smart, but it doesn't matter what I agree with. I'm just giving you the reality, Doug. They're not going to turn out again. I go back to the horror story in the Georgia double Senate special elections in January of 2021. Where everybody was running around, Trump was saying it got stolen, your vote doesn't matter. And two seats that we always win in specials, we lost them both. And now I don't think we might never get it back.
Wow.
So it's just, you gotta understand your base, man. And I think we're losing the understanding of what this base wants. And if they don't turn out, Doug, we can't win the midterms, Doug. They got to turn out.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just asking for equal justice before the law. That's all. And if Mayor Fry is innocent and he's just shooting his mouth off and not complicit in fanning the flames of hate and attacks against law enforcement, he'll walk. In one of my cases, when I was dealing with this assault on legislators under the Biden administration, one of the prosecuting attorneys, just after I gave my testimony, he's like, "Oh, you were just doing your job as a senator." I'm like, "No crap, Sherlock. No kidding. Why would a soldier who's swore the oath of the Constitution his entire adult life, do anything other than uphold the Constitution. But they were just fishing, man. They were on a fishing expedition. It's sweeping up everybody who spoke out, who had an opinion on 2020, and they couldn't find anything on me because there was nothing here. But Mayor Fry has obviously done something wrong. Waltz has definitely done something wrong, if not with the fraud alone, facilitating that in their state and community. Where's the subpoenas? Why is it taking so long? And so we're going to lose if we don't have action. The time for talk is done. I'm not asking to break the law. I'm just find out who's guilty and hold them accountable. And if Fry and Waltz are innocent and just had opinions we didn't like, they will walk.
It's you got to get to the bottom of this, and you got to do it now. Otherwise, you're going to dispirit our base, and the stakes are so enormous, Doug. They're so enormous, and you got to wake up. Like, I'm going to the Santa Barbara Winter RNC meeting, and I'm not broadcasting there. I'm not getting up at 2 a.m. Ant's coming with me, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions. Like, what's the Republican Party doing now? Like, what are we doing? And it's going to be an interesting meeting, because action. And a lot of our base is not seeing it. And even though President Trump has all this stuff he's doing, there's this hole in the soul. There's a hole in the soul, and the hole in the soul is accountability for what has happened. And until we get that, you're not going to complete the circle, and you're not going to get our base out. I've been fighting this battle for 9 months. I'm done fighting it because it's real, and that's what all my callers say. I get 25 callers a week. All 25 say the same thing over and over and over. Different people. Doesn't matter where I go, Doug. I'm going to Iowa. I guarantee I'm going to get the same thing on the ground for a week. Where's the accountability?
Thank you.
And our political operation is not seeing it. Yes, I get the tariffs are working. Yes, I get the money's coming in. Yes, I get the economy is going better. Yes, I get the job growth. Yes, I get we close the border. I get all that. It's all great. Yes, I get the foreign policy. But that's not what's motivating the people that go out and vote. They want handcuffs, and they want them now, and time's up, Doug. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Equal justice before the law. Why is the left is so swift on going after conservatives? And we saw that. I experienced that. But our side here has all the right words, but no action. I just don't get it. It's not that hard.
We'll see what happens. Doug Mastriano, thank you for being with us. As always, you can follow him at Doug Mastriano. At Doug Mastriano, Senator, Gettysburg, Republican, Pennsylvania, also Colonel, 30 years intel in the Army. Doug, always enjoy your perspective. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me, John. God bless.
Thank you. Your calls when I get back, 888-480-JOHN. Stay with us.